Collate Solutions engineer Aydin Geeringh joins me once again for Collate Solutions. What's the 411, Aydin? Or do you know that
Hey,
reference?
hey, Sean. I'm assuming that's a postal dialing code in the US. I've definitely heard it on some
It's,
kind of TV show.
okay, yeah. 411 was how you got information on the phone.
Okay,
You could find
okay,
businesses. It's kind of like going on Google Maps.
okay. The yellow pages on the phone, basically, or Google
Yeah,
before
yeah.
Google. All right,
It was
okay.
super convenient. Yeah, in the long,
But
long
yeah,
ago, in the
but
before
the
time.
411 is we're going to be talking about Power BI today. I have quite a
Yes, we are.
special place in my heart for Power BI. I remember I'm a Mac user myself, and I actually
Uh huh.
downloaded a lot of software just so I could use Power BI when I started in the data analytics world because all the flashy stuff was on Microsoft. I don't want to use ClickSense and all these other stuff, legacy systems. But it's
Yeah.
Power BI is basically legacy nowadays. But I'm very excited to talk about Power BI today.
And that's like part of the whole Microsoft Fabric ecosystem as well now, right?
Yeah, I would say that's the front man for Fabric. They really kind of try to push Fabric from the Power BI perspective, and then they add all the bells and whistles in terms of integration and warehousing. And I think most users that are going to click on this video don't care about that. They just want to look at a pretty dashboard. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and how you can ingest that in Collate.
Excellent. Well, to continue with outdated metaphors, you want to go down that yellow brick road now?
Yeah, let me start sharing my screen and then we can take a look at that. So what we're going to do today is, as per usual, we're going to go to settings and then we're going to go to services. We're going to be adding some dashboards. So I'm going to click over there
Okay.
and we're going to add a new service. So we've already covered some of these other dashboarding services, and of the big cloud players, you're going to have your Power BIs, your Lookers, your Tableaus. Yeah, we're going to focus on Power BI today. Power BI report serves a little bit of a niche use case. Those are kind of like those reports in like a PDF, or supposed to be a PDF format, but when you're looking at it, it's going to be, clickable buttons. But
Hmm.
99% of users are just going to use the normal Power BI connector. So we
Okay.
can go ahead and type in Power BI. So, my spelling's terrible today. Solutions. And we can, as per usual, we're going to see those little asterisks of what we need to fill in. And
Hmm.
then we can connect it accordingly. For someone who's a data analyst, this part of the process could be a little overwhelming. But for most companies, your DevOps team will be able to assist you here because all of this information, the client ID, secret, and tenant, that is what they're going to set up so that via API, there can be some read-only access to what's happening in your Power BI dashboards. So Collate and other
Okay.
services, without leaking all your information or your underlying data, we're allowed to read the metadata. What is the name of that dashboard? What is the name of that data model? So we can use that information accordingly. But if you want to try it yourself without DevOps, you can follow the information on the right-hand side. So I'm just going
Okay.
to pull up on my side here those credentials. And don't worry, it's just for the demo. So if you try steal my client ID, tenant ID, all that stuff, it's not going to work. But I'm just going to fill that in accordingly. That's the last one. All this other stuff is filled in by default. We don't need to worry about that too much. It's automatically going to have the correct information toggled. If there's any
Okay.
additional stuff you want to fill out, it's all here. But these are your like advanced settings. You don't need to worry too much about that. We're just going to go ahead and click test connection. Yeah, there we go.
Excellent.
It works successfully. I can go click OK, click on next. And similar to our database services, you're going to be able to filter for what you're looking for. So I know for very large enterprise organizations, you're going to have hundreds, if not thousands of dashboards, data models, various projects. So if
Yeah.
you need to isolate it just for your team, you can do that at the project level. Or if it's multiple dashboards coming from one data warehouse or data model, you can add those filtering buttons for all of the above. We are going to
Okay.
just ingest everything today, so we can go ahead and click save. Now we have our little agent running, and it's going to be queued ready to tee up the metadata ingestion.
Okay. And I see the schedule is defaulting to midnight on Sunday.
Yeah. So by default, we provide that schedule. So you're going to see the same information we saw before. I can also enable debug logs if I want to see all the underlying information of what's happening. If you'd like, you can also help the automatic lineage find specific databases by adding the service prefix, but it should be able to connect the dots itself if it knows kind of the data landscape, which Collate usually does. And then we have all this additional toggles here as well. If we can ingest the owner, so we can see that my email is in Power BI and in Collate, it's automatically going to make me that owner. Otherwise, if it can't match anyone in Collate, it will just leave it as blank. So that's that toggle there. And there's all these other toggles we can play with for what we want to ingest into the Collate platform. And as you mentioned, we got that schedule. It's automatically going to run on Sunday at 12 a.m. We can make this run on any schedule. I'm actually going to change it to on demand. So if there's any kind of egress fees, Collate's not going to be shouting at me for racking up those cloud bills.
Good idea.
And whilst we were doing all of that, we've actually successfully ingested the metadata. So we can see we've ingested 10 dashboards and 10 data models. I'm going to go to the data model side because that will funnel into our dashboards, and then we can check on kind of the landscape there. I know these are all sample data dashboards, so you're more than welcome to download the Power BI files or see it on Power BI itself if you want to take a look at it. But I'm going to look at this last one, this AdventureWorks sales.
Okay.
So now that we're in this data model, we have a whole lot of information. So at a high level, we already see we have some customer data, dates, product, reseller, sales audit, territories, and even just a table there. So what we're seeing here is, as it says, it's a Power BI table. So when you're creating that data model and you're making that semantic layer, these are going to be those various data models that you're using to create those charts accordingly. So these will have their various drop downs, and we can see for a customer, we got some additional information here, like the city, customer ID. And in your relational database, these are all going to be connected with potentially those primary keys and foreign key relationships accordingly.
Okay.
That's great. We're going to ingest this information and we can start to govern this accordingly. We can add it to a domain, add some ownership, certify this if we want to, incorporate that medallion architecture methodology, as well as start to add those descriptions, tags, glossary terms. So if it's a customer, we can automatically assign, something like PII. Ooh, let me actually start typing. Yeah, PII for sensitive in red. That looks good. Now we can start to govern our data accordingly so that when another user, Shawn, for example, takes a look at this and knows, we need to be extra cautious with this data because we're dealing with something that's PII sensitive. This is great. We're getting that. And then we're going to jump into that lineage view. And look at that.
Nice.
We have a lot of information here. We got that data model that we're talking about. We have the following dashboard itself. If I click on it, we're going to get some information here, the dashboard URL, what's upstream, what's downstream, and also its own metadata that we can govern and start to have ownership and who is responsible for managing that metadata, as well as those upstream data sources. We saw when I connected the metadata ingestion, I didn't add a database prefix, but it can see based on kind of the naming convention of this specific data model that we have something about customers, and it's getting that customer ID, deal size, order date accordingly. Same thing with that date table, going to the date information and the customer Databricks data as well. So if I start to hover over it, we can see some of those column level lineage appear as well. But at a high level, because it's a nested architecture, we just see it at the table level, how it's flowing into that dashboard accordingly.
So in just a quick view, you can tell exactly what data is feeding into that.
Exactly. So I don't think there should be any data quality running on this, but if there's any issues here, we could potentially start to see that and see how it affects this dashboard and start to understand how this plays across our data landscape. Can we trust this data? If there's any breaking changes, which owner, or which data set do I need to look at to make sure that whatever data I'm modeling in my dashboard is up to date, it's accurate, it's fresh, it's correct, so that we can use the correct data accordingly.
That is excellent. I mean, the lineage is always a fun view, but it's also a very important view because, like you say, if you've got data quality checks going, if you're looking at your dashboard, it's like something doesn't seem right, and you come in here and there's a bunch of alerts going off, then
exactly,
we got to fix something.
The last thing I really wanted to highlight here is you might have noticed there's this blue button on the top right. I'm going to go to the dashboard itself because the data model is not as impressive. But when we're looking at this report, we have same kind of metadata. If there's specific charts you want to ingest, you can ingest it. But we're getting this dashboard. So when I click on that URL, it's going to take me right into that dashboard. I can see all that information that I've been dealing with. I'm in Power BI already because I've logged in. I've got the same credentials. I can start to look at what's happening here. I can start to filter, what's happening with my sales orders in 2018 or whatever I need to look at. And I can quickly and easily switch back to Collate, get that metadata and understanding of what is this data I'm looking at. Are we looking at sales data for customers, for an NGO or whatever? And then we can understand the data that we're busy looking at in the actual dashboard.
Awesome. It makes it really simple to switch back and forth, look at what you're doing, and investigate if there's an issue, knowing where the upstream data came from. Like this gives you the entire picture.
Exactly.
Well, all right. Was there anything? I mean, that's enough, but was there more?
You could also add data contracts if you'd like. That's a whole nother topic in itself to start to govern and ensure that the data analytics team and then the data engineering team, so the producer and the consumer, they have that handshake between one another. We can dive into that in a whole nother video.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about contracts in this for this. Perry and I did a video on contracts. I love what we did there, but yeah, I don't want to go too far in the weeds. Maybe I'll just link to the data contract video in the description here. I love it. Thank you, Aydin. You have been fabulous once again. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, Shawn.